If you were asked to name legends of F1, who would you say? You'd probably say Schumacher, Senna, Prost, Lauda, maybe Hamilton if you're watching this from the future, in which case, hi. What if I told you that there is someone even more successful than them who's never even driven an F1 car? And that person's name is Adrian Newey. He has 10 World Championships to his name with 3 different constructors. Let's do a bit of a dive into what makes this man so successful. Starting off with a bit of his personal life, he was born on the 26th of December 1958 in Stratford-upon-Avon, the same place where Shakespeare spent a fairly large proportion of his life. Anyway, gone off on a bit of a tangent as usual in these videos. Adrian Newey attended Repton Public School alongside Jeremy Clarkson, and at the age of 16 he was excluded from the school because he turned the volume up on a Greenslade concert that was held in the school. He turned the volume up so high that he shattered the stained glass windows in the hall they were playing in, which I found pretty funny. Probably not something I'd do now, but definitely pretty interesting to look at and compare to where he is now. Probably being one of the few geniuses of the sport. Anyway, so he then went on somehow to go to university. He studied at Southampton University. He studied aeronautics and astronautics in university. I can't find anywhere to say if he did well or not, but I'm just going to assume, for all intents and purposes, that he did do well because of where he is today. Anyway, in 1984, he got his first job in motorsport. He got a job working for the March IndyCar project. So yeah, just when IndyCar were starting out as a series, he started working in them. And by 1986, March had attained both the kart title, kart spelled C-A-R-T, so not go-karts, as well as the Indianapolis 500 race in the same year. And then the very next year, 1987, working as Mario Andretti's race engineer for the Newman Haas F1 team. The year after that, he was rehired by March for their F1 campaign, which was largely unsuccessful. And then in 1991, he joined Williams, and this was to be the first of him showing that he is not a force to be messed with in Formula 1. His Williams 1991 and 2 car, the FW14, was the most successful in his career with Williams. It was debuted in the second half of the 1991 season, and then it raced in different forms across the 1992 season. And in those 1.5 seasons that it was in F1, it took 17 Grand Prix wins, 21 pole positions, 38 podiums, and 19 fastest laps. And it also took the maximum amount of championships that it could have taken in 1.5 seasons, which is obviously 1. In 1993, the FW15C, designed by Newey, once again dominated the F1 calendar, taking 10 wins, 15 poles, 21 podiums, and 10 fastest laps. And then the same story pretty much followed in 1994, where they took 7 wins, 6 poles, 13 podiums, and 8 fastest laps. But the celebrations were muted, you could say, that year, because also the Williams team had lost the great Ayrton Senna, as I mentioned earlier, another of the legends of the sport. In 1996, he was placed on what Williams called gardening leave. It's a term that used to be used a lot but now is not, for paid leave. He was being paid to stay at home and not work for Williams, essentially. And then he moved on to McLaren. He began there in 1997, where he started work trying to improve the design that they had for their 1997 car, and he improved it to the point where they were the car to beat in the second half of the 1997 season, but that wasn't enough for them to take the championship, which they did manage to do in the next 2 years that followed. 1998 and 1999 won back-to-back world championships, taking 16 wins, 23 poles and 18 fastest laps over the course of the 2 seasons. The very next year, in 2000, he narrowly missed out on another world championship, and he wouldn't take another championship again until 2010 because of the unstoppable Schumacher and Ferrari partnership. And we also had in the mix, we had the Brawn F1 team out of absolutely nowhere, and I believe that's it. I'm probably wrong. Oh, and there was Renault, of course. Yeah, so the Renault, Ferrari and Brawn took the championships until 2010. But let's go back a couple of years to 2006, when he was first hired by Red Bull. He couldn't really influence the design of that 2006 Red Bull car, but in what he could manage, he got a podium for David Coulthard in Monaco. And then the next year, 2007, 5th in the Constructors' Championship for Red Bull, mainly because they were plagued throughout the season by Renault engine issues, which they were pretty much, they had a repeat of that exactly 10 years later, with 2017 and then 2018 as well. So that's kind of unfortunate, and doesn't say good things about the Renault engine, does it? In 2008, it was another disappointing year for Red Bull. They were even outscored by their junior team, Toro Rosso, or AlphaTauri as they are now known. But 2009 is where things started to pick up for the Red Bull team and Adrian Newey. They got 1-2s in Shanghai and Britain that year, and they finished second overall in the Constructors' Championship. And now this brings us to one of the most dominant periods in F1, which was the 2010 to 2013 seasons, where Red Bull completely whitewashed every championship. They took 4 Constructors and 4 Drivers' Championships, taking 41 wins, 52 poles, 2,204 points, and just 14 DNFs of a maximum 154 opportunities to finish, which means that it finished 90.9% of its races, which is now saying a good thing about the Renault engine that powered it in that period of time. So, I mean, every cloud does have a silver lining, you could say. In 2014, they finished second in the Constructors' Championship, and then 2015 they slipped down to 4th, and then from 2016 to 19 they finished 3rd in the Constructors' Championship every single year. And that brings us up to now, 2020, where we are yet to see what the Red Bull car can do. Hopefully it is a good one. Hopefully it's a turn again for Adrian Newey and Red Bull. Hopefully they can get back onto that top step. But yeah, that basically, as I said, it brings us up to now. He's 61 years young, and he has 10 championships to his name, and he ain't looking like he's going to stop any time soon. And hopefully it doesn't, because I think more people should remember him as one of the legends of the sport, and hopefully he gets that kind of respect that he deserves, because the man is an absolute god. The amount that this guy has achieved with what seems like so little, he's turned every single team that he's worked with, he's turned them all around. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, like it, comment, let me know what sort of thing I should do next, and of course subscribe, because it would help. It's nice. I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.